Computer. Sorry. Okie doke. Welcome everybody to this episode with the beautiful Samantha. Thank you for joining us, Samantha.
No, you are welcome. I love the compliment. So yes, thank you. Even though I don't know what's going on with my hair at the moment. This is not.
Yeah, hair looks beautiful.
Just ignore that. Let's just pretend that's not happening, shall we?
It's mostly audio, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. If you're listening to this, my hair looks amazing. So that's all you need to know.
Exactly. So for anybody who doesn't know you, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yes, so I am a stylist and an editor. I have edited newspapers and magazines for quite a long time. And most recently, I currently am the editor of Oxfordshire Living. I've edited the Oxford Mail, the Oxford Times, a few other titles. And I'm also a qualified stylist. So when I began to post photos of my outfits online, because I was a young woman doing a job that was traditionally held by a middle-class, middle-aged white man. And I tried to kind of incorporate my own personal style into that role, because I think that it's really important to be yourself and to be able to show up as you are. So when I started doing that, I was getting messages from women saying, I'd love to do that too. I'm working in a male environment. Can you help me with my outfits? Could you help me with this? And as I was working in the magazines, obviously I knew about fashion and styling, loved doing that kind of stuff. And so trained as a stylist. So now I am the style editor, which combines both things. Yeah.
Even just hearing you talk about it is so exciting. It's like, wow, this, and this. So what would you say the reason is for you? Obviously, we know that you moved from, well, you didn't move because you're still an editor, but you kind of gradually added an arm of your business to be styling. Have you got any personal experience behind that made you know that you wanted to go into styling specifically?
Yes, a lot. So growing up, in particular, talking about growing up, I was overweight as a child. I was always being told I was overweight. I remember I used to dance when I was a kid, and we had a yearly concert, and the lady who used to make our costumes when I was literally about 5 years old, she basically said to me, you're too fat, you need to lose some weight. So I grew up very much always on a diet, living in a culture that told me my body was wrong. I got laughed at, when I was younger, I went to find an outfit for my cousin's wedding, couldn't find anything, was being laughed at by shop assistants. It was just awful. It was horrible. And I hate the fact that people still feel like that, and I think it's got a lot better. We are seeing more diversity in fashion and what we're seeing in the media, but there's still a hell of a lot of work to do. And I recognized last year, because I got burnout, basically, because I was doing a very hard job, and it was the pandemic, and we had a lot of people on furlough, we had a lot of redundancies, and essentially I was doing like the job of 4 people. And I just couldn't continue that way. And fashion and style was kind of my escape, and I loved doing it. I loved helping women with their style. And so I decided that now was the time to create my business. And a big part of that was addressing my own limiting beliefs and then helping other women do the same, because we live in a culture that tells us we're wrong from the minute we're born. Essentially, everything about you is wrong. No matter what choices you make, it's the wrong choice. You're supposed to conform to a certain body type. You're supposed to buy this miracle product, which will, cure all of your ills. You're supposed to detox and diet and wax and stretch and pull and whatever else that you're supposed to do to become this version of yourself that society finds acceptable, even though you will never become that person, because that's just
not who you're destined to be.
That's not real.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, that takes away all of your amazing uniqueness, because you are unique, and the things that make you different are the things that will help the world. That's what you're born with. You're born with these gifts. You're born to be this, you know, you might be an introvert, you might be an extrovert, whatever. You're born as this incredible being that comes into the world with these gifts and these talents. You're here for a reason, which sounds corny, I know, but it's true. And you get that gets beaten out of you. You get, you know, you're told all of these things about yourself, and you wake up one day and you realize they've become like, it's almost like you've turned to stone, and they're a part of it, they're a part of the statue, as it were. Mm-hmm. And so you have to do the work of chipping those away, and then getting out the magical being that is inside, that you always were, you just forgot about.
Definitely. And would you say that during that time when you decided to set up the styling and like confidence coaching kind of side of things, would you say that you had started to chip away at that because of obviously you had been put into that box of you have to look like this, you have to dress this way? Is that what made you almost like emerging into a butterfly, if you like?
Yeah.
And wanting to help others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I held on to a lot of stuff from childhood, a lot of childhood trauma, things that happened to me, mm-hmm. Which, you know, that happens to a lot of people when they're a kid. A lot of nasty things happen to people, and you just kind of bury it. And I realized that I had buried it, but what I had taken from that experience was, you're not good enough. Like, you deserve to be treated badly. You know, the world should you know, take from you, mm-hmm. essentially. You know, you're not worthy of this, you're not worthy of that. So I had to do a lot of work on that, a lot of like NLP. I invested in like coaching and therapy and stuff to kind of just get rid of that. And now honestly I feel like a totally different person. And if you just said to me a couple of years ago that was going to happen, I was in such a scarcity mindset. I thought that the only way to have value was to work yourself into the ground. Yeah. Essentially to pay for someone else's holiday home. Like, that's what I thought. I thought that I had to spend all my weekends working, that, you know, that's what hard work was. Mm-hmm. So if you told me this, I would probably have laughed and been like, that's ridiculous. Personal development, you know, don't be so wishy-washy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's changed my life, to be honest.
Oh, that's amazing. Would you say that your burnout was a major trigger for you? Because they say, don't they, that everyone can kind of idle along their life, and then they can have little bits of stress here and there, but then it's only when you truly hit rock bottom that the things that you had buried for so long and that obviously you didn't deal with at the time, that's when they come crashing down, and that's when you're kind of forced to recognize them and work through them at that point.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely what happened to me. I spent years and years working to the point of exhaustion. Like, I'd miss Christmases, I never had a bank holiday off. And you're kind of told in news, well, this is news, like, this is the job. If you don't like it, someone else will be coming up the ladder for your job anyway. Which is a separate issue, but something that I'm really passionate about, helping to change the culture of media. But yes, what happened was I had psoriasis from a very young age, which is a stress-related condition. It's essentially your body's way of coping with stress, and I had it constantly, all over my hands, all over my arms, over my body. It would flare up sometimes. And during the beginning of last year, I started to get really bad pain in my eyes, and I actually thought that there was something seriously wrong with me. And I had to go to a doctor, and essentially what had happened was the psoriasis had got into my eyes. I didn't know that could happen, cause an infection, and it can actually damage your eyesight. And that is what had happened to me. And I did not know if I kind of wish I had known sooner that was what could happen with psoriasis. I just thought, it's a skin condition, I'm just stressed. Stress is just, you know, that's just normal. My body's supposed to constantly be in a state of stress. That's fine.
It's almost like a badge though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I would say definitely now it's almost like, oh, if you're working 7 days a week, if you've not got time to go to the toilet, if you're not busy all the time, then you're not achieving. But really, I would say the people that achieve the most are the ones that put boundaries in place and have things set in stone so that they've got time to themselves, not the ones that constantly work all the time. Because really, if you're feeling burnt out yourself, then you can't give 100% to whatever you're doing anyway, can you?
Exactly. We glorify the grind, like it's supposed to be that way. We're supposed to, we grow up in a culture where it's like, you go to school, you pass your exams, you might get a degree, you get an apprenticeship, you go to work, you work until you retire. But the problem is that the generations before us, they could, like, the economy was that my granddad retired when he was 50. He's 90 years old now. He spent the last 40 years living off a very comfortable pension.
Yeah.
People of our age aren't going to be able to do that. Like,
no.
There's a study that came out a few weeks ago, and I think it said something like millennials hold 4% of all wealth, and our parents' generation held like 20%, and the generation before that held 30% or something. So we get into this grind culture, but actually it's not getting us anywhere. Like, there's all this stuff about stop buying avocados, you'll be able to afford a house.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, so if I seriously stop buying an avocado once a week, I'm going to be able to afford a house.
I just buy a chocolate bar instead of the avocado.
It's slightly cheaper and it's tastier. But the grind is totally glorified, and that's what happened to me. And I got into the state because I was brought up poor, essentially. Brought up on a council estate. We literally had holes in our clothes, and my parents worked really, really hard to give us a good upbringing. The culture that I grew up in was that you work and work and work and work to the point of exhaustion, and that's what hard work is. And so yes, I literally hit burnout to the point where I got ill, and it took the doctor saying to me, you are only young, and if you continue the way that you're going, you are going to get seriously ill. That was the point then when I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I just walked out of there, called someone that I know who was a stylist at the time, who'd been nagging me actually since I met her a few years ago. But the first time I met her, she was like, you should be a stylist. You just love, like, you've got the gift, you should be a stylist. And she'd been nagging me since then, and I hadn't been ready to hear it. And so after that instant, I walked out of there, and that afternoon I called her and was like, okay, I'm ready to change my life.
I think it's so cool that you were able to do that, though, because a lot of people, when they reach that rock bottom point, it's really, really hard to claw back from, isn't it? And it takes a lot of working on yourself and realizing what it is you want to do. Because if you've been in a situation where you're working, and it's in a job that you maybe don't prefer, then it's really hard to kind of switch that mindset and be like, right, okay, I'm at the depths at the moment, but I'm going to change it round. So I think that shows a massive strength of character on your part, that you were able to like jump straight in and kind of refocus yourself that way.
Yeah, thank you. I've always been quite determined. I mean, even becoming a journalist was a hard mountain for me to climb, because no one from where I came from would ever do a job like that. Like, there was no one, from the background that I was from at the time, doing the job that I wanted to do. So I knew that I'd done it before. But yeah, you're right. I think a lot, and it's particularly women, they get into this, women have to look after everyone, and they put everyone else's needs before their own, to the point where they grind themselves down to the ground. And then it's like, there's this one thing that they need, but everything else comes first. So there's always a reason not to. There's always a reason, I've got to pay for this for my kid, or I need to do this for my husband, or I need to do that for work, or a family friend, or my mom, or whatever else. We become the caregivers for everyone else apart from ourselves. But the thing is, you can't pour from an empty cup. as the saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, if you deplete your own resources to the point of nothing, you've got nothing left to give. And it's really important that you're able to do things for yourself, even if it's just like, you know, going for a coffee, getting up an hour early, going for a run or going for a walk, or taking yourself for a coffee. It doesn't have to cost a lot. Just giving yourself that time is really important.
And I think it's important as well to do that regularly, because say if you, I think we know, don't we, when we're getting to the stage sometimes that it's like, oh, you know what, I'm not doing too well, I'm struggling, enough's enough, I feel like I need like a little break. And then you'll have that, even if it's for half an hour or something. But then if nothing changes and you're not implementing that on a daily basis or a regular basis whenever you can, then you'll just continue in the same cycle. And I think sometimes when I think about it, I feel like I'm being selfish if I take time for me, if that makes sense, because I think it's because we're the ones that look after everybody else. So it feels, it gives you a sense of guilt almost, like you say, if it's with money or if it's with time, you feel like, well, actually I could be spending this time doing X, Y, and Z, but then really I'm doing myself no favors, or anybody else, if you're not well enough to look after everyone. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a constant battle between what you've been told by culture, which is that your place is to serve essentially, and then knowing that you need to keep replenishing your own resources, because it's not selfish, because you're actually serving everyone else. So you can't serve anyone if you've, you know, like if you likened it to a restaurant, say, well, you can't serve people the meals that are on the menu if you don't have the ingredients, if you don't have the stuff to, you know, make the meals with. And it's the same with you can't keep giving if there's nothing left to give.
Absolutely.
So it's
definitely,
take a break.
I know,
ladies,
have a coffee, go for a walk,
after yourself, go on. But women also take on the emotional labor at home, and I think we've seen that a lot through the pandemic, that, you know, even if a woman and a man are working the same hours, it's the woman who's 80% more likely to do the housework. And Caitlin Moran, the kind of the feminist writer, made a really good point. She said that if you are 50-50 in a household, and you are doing 70% of the housework, you're not doing 70% of the housework, you're doing your 50% and 20% of someone else's work. Like that, think of it that way. That's, you know, if you're supposed to be 50-50 and you do 70-80%, you are doing someone else's work for them. So
therefore you're allowing that cycle to continue.
So put the dishcloth down. I know how hard it is to do, because
stick the Hoover away.
It happens to me. It happens to me as well. Going to the kitchen, I'm like, dishes, must clean the dishes.
Your twitchy eye.
Yeah, honestly, I can't. And my husband knows as well. And sometimes he'll test me, like he'll leave it there, and I'm like, I can't. The dishes, man.
Oh, I absolutely love the way that you talk, and the way that you talk about empowering women and, you know, things like that. And you can just tell every time you talk about anything like this, like you're so passionate. It's like you believe it from the bottom of your heart, and it's obvious every time I hear you. Even, it sounds daft, but even just seeing your Instagram post, for example, I'm reading it and I'm like, yes, Samantha, yes, you're so right. And I can hear you saying it as well. So the fact that you're, I mean, not only helping people, I think, this is my opinion, and I know you, and I think that when you say I'm an editor and stylist, I don't think that's enough to describe what you are doing. I feel like, this is going to sound really like, I don't know, but I feel like you're creating a movement. I feel like you're creating an empowerment movement, and I feel like you're creating a confidence movement. I think you're selling yourself so short by just calling yourself an editor and stylist, because you do so much more than that. You know, you give advice all the time, you challenge stereotypes, you challenge things in, you know, the media or in everyday life. You stand up for people who have had, you know, crap online. You're an advocate for not being mean to other people on the internet. You're an advocate for making people feel good, feel confident, sorting out their wardrobes. Because essentially, I would say that when you think about your styling, it's really not actually about the clothes, because what you're doing is you're going far deeper than that, aren't you? Yes, it is about the clothes in the sense of you do lots of things with color analysis, but it's about empowering that person to believe in themselves and to feel good in no matter what they wear. So
Yes.
I wish you'd like market yourself as like just a queen.
General queen. Queen of all things.
Easier.
Oh, thank you so much.
And people would get it then, wouldn't they? They'd be like, oh, I want to work with a queen.
That's so lovely. Thank you.
It's so true, honestly. We've worked together a few times now, and I can't describe to people how it makes you feel, because if you're on that hamster wheel and you're, you know, trudging along and trying to do this, that and the other, you forget about yourself. And what you did for me is, for the first time, you made me see things about myself that I didn't realize. And I think that's the key to your business success, because you are doing so much more than just editor, stylist. It's honestly, it's incredible. I mean, anyone listening to this, go and follow her, you know, hire her, do everything, because she will absolutely change your mindset and change the way that you think. You should be a queen. Let's get you an MBA.
I'm just gonna like change my business to just queen.
Yeah.
Things.
Oh my God, please change your username to queen.
No, queen of everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if queen might
Queen
be taken
Sam.
now, but yeah, queen something. Thank you. That's so lovely of you.
No problem. What would you say your favorite thing out of your like styling, confidence and media side of your business? What's your favorite one that you enjoy doing the most?
So obviously media is what I know like the back of my hand, and I guess I find that, I don't want to say easy, but I think what I'm missing in the media, particularly rather than the confidence and styling, is that human connection. And that's what I love the most, is when I start working with someone and they're saying, you know, they're putting themselves down, you know, they're making comments about their body, or, you know, I could never wear this, or, you know, I could never do that. And then seeing their transformation. Yes, you can do that. You know, I have clients who've had like entrepreneurs who have branding shoots and feel really nervous about doing it, and then we'll come up with outfits, talk to them about their confidence, they'll absolutely smash it. Other people who are scared to show up online is like the face of their business, or you know, just in general, clients who are working in corporate maybe, or their wives or their mums, and they've just kind of forgotten about themselves. And that is one of the big struggles with gaining clients, I suppose, in what I do, because it is very much about making you realize the value of investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's very hard when you are in a place of, but I'm not worthy of doing that. So overall, I think the thing that I just love the most is working particularly with women, and just making them see that actually, yes, they are worthy. Yes, they are amazing. Yes, you know, the cellulite on your thighs doesn't matter. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Just wear the thing. Love your life. Life's too short.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about feeling good no matter what you wear, really, isn't it? And that's what it's all about. So as regards to, so you've got the styling arm of your business. If we focus on that specifically, what would you say is, like, say if you have a client come to you, or if you're doing like a wardrobe cleanse or something like that with them, what would you say is the most common issue when it comes to styling?
The most common issue is people saying, I have got nothing to wear. That's the most common phrase that I even say it sometimes. Yeah, we go, oh, I've got nothing to wear, when actually we're standing in front of an overstuffed wardrobe. The problem is that we can't see either the outfits, or we're not sure how to put together outfits. And some people, I can just innately sort of go to a wardrobe and be like, okay, I'll try this with this will go with that, etc., etc. But once you learn those skills, then that's a skill for life, and it's going to save you time and money in the long run, because you won't be, mindlessly scrolling on ASOS at 10 p.m. buying stuff to just fill an emotional void. That is the most common issue, is that people say, I've got nothing to wear, and actually they're spending a fortune in some cases on clothes. It's not they don't have anything to wear, it's that they're not sure how to wear it, or they don't have the confidence to wear it. That's the problem. Or their wardrobe's full of stuff that just isn't practical for their life. So we all get shiny object syndrome, where we'll think, oh, well, I could really do with a white shirt, for example. Could really do with a white shirt in my wardrobe. It would kind of put, I could wear it with skirts, I could wear it with jeans, I could wear it with trousers, whatever, but it's a bit boring, right? So instead, I'm going to buy this ridiculous sequin dress that I'm not going to wear anywhere, but it's sequin and it's shiny and happy, and that's how I want to feel. So that is also a problem.
Definitely. And there's, like you say, there's a lot of it's almost like an emotional crutch sometimes, isn't it? Because you see, and there's the other side of it, because you see these women online and on their clothing websites, and you're like, oh my God, she looks incredible, I'd love to buy that. And then you buy it, you get it home, you try it on, and you feel like you look crap, so you'd rather just send it back, and then that makes you feel worse, and then the cycle starts again, doesn't it?
I do think Instagram has got a lot to answer for in terms of like trends and fast fashion, because it is driving that. Particularly women, I think, if they spent a bit of the money that they spend on those kind of quick fixes on actually investing in their personal style and their confidence, that would solve a lot of money
in the long run.
And it would solve a lot of the issues that we have around fast fashion in this country. And it is some other countries have this problem, but the UK in particular has a massive problem with fast fashion. And I'm kind of hoping that lockdown will bring in a slower sense of style, and actually we'll get to a point where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to invest in my style, and that means I'm going to invest in time with a stylist, and then I'm going to only buy things that fit into this wardrobe, and I love everything in my wardrobe. That's what I hope.
I agree, because I think lockdown forced a lot of people to kind of stop, obviously, and then it was kind of a case of, oh, okay, you kind of have to look within, don't you? And I think, and then especially because you were at home all the time, I really struggled with, well, I'd say with all lockdowns, as soon as I was at home all the time, and then I had more time to be scrolling on social media, it really did have a really negative impact, because you're seeing, like, obviously you've got the worries, you've got your own business, and then you're worried, obviously, how things are going to pan out, and then you're scrolling through social media and everybody looks like, they're having the best time of their life, they look amazing in this dress, or they've just bought this, or it's really difficult, because I think it's a hard habit to break once you start something like that in, obviously, a situation like lockdown, because it's hard to train your mind again to think, well, actually, focus on your own life and what you can achieve, rather than, you've said before, haven't you, because Instagram is just a highlight reel. If we all posted every time we felt rubbish or crap about ourselves, then it might be a bit of a better place to be.
Exactly.
Feel so alone.
And even honest posts, because people will sometimes say to me, oh, your content's really honest. And it is, but it is honest to a point, in that I'm not in my pajamas on my sofa eating a pizza in any of my pictures, or I'm do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, it is honest, but it's not, it's still a curated version of the, you know, who I am,
situation.
Yeah. And like my husband was saying the other day, he was, because obviously working from home, he's been on Zoom, and he said it's really you really get to know people once you see properly inside their lives, which I think this pandemic, working from home, has helped people do. But yeah, you are right, you need to remember that Instagram is a highlight reel, and most of all, it's a marketing platform. So most of these brands, if they're using Instagram well, are actually using it as part of their business plan. And you know, it's not real. And there's so much talk on there of, you know, I made 6k in 6 days, and 10k this and 10k that. It's all, for the most part, it's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. It's not true. And you know, just try and stay in your own lane, and remember that what is coming for you is coming to you. It doesn't,
at the right time.
And someone else's success or apparent success has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on yours or what you can achieve, or the people that you're supposed to help with what you do.
Absolutely. I think like there's a lot of things when it comes to styling, for example. I think most people just assume, oh, well, I don't need a stylist because I'm not a celebrity, because that's all you see, don't you? Like, oh, celebrity stylist such and such, or celebrity stylist such and such. It's like, I don't think we as women value ourselves enough to think that we're worthy of one. But it's so, like I say, it's so much deeper than having a rail of clothes and choosing, you know. I do think that it's definitely a misconception, a massive misconception, because people hear the word stylist and they just think, well, actually, I don't need one. But you truly do.
Yeah, you're so right. And I think the UK, like with most of kind of like the wellness industry, UK is probably about 5 years behind the likes of America and Australia. So in Australia, actually, it's quite, you know, normal for women, professional women, to have a stylist, to have someone who helps them with their image. And it's actually quite important. I think brands are missing a bit of a trick too, because the high street is collapsing. We've seen a lot of brands close. A lot of the high streets, when we go back after lockdown, are going to look very different, because big stores aren't there anymore. And actually what these stores probably need is a bit more of an experience, so they could have stylists in store helping people.
That's a good idea.
It's something that John Lewis actually does it really well, where they have those people in store, and they have, you know, a special styling area where you can go, or if you're a stylist, they're quite welcoming to you. But in general, I think that is, the high street is missing a bit of a trick on the experience front, which a stylist could help with. But yes, you are right. A massive misconception is that you need to have loads of money to work with a stylist, or you need to be a celebrity to have a stylist. And actually, it's, do you want to save yourself time? Do you want to save yourself money? Are you fed up of feeling like crap about yourself? If the answer to those questions is yes, a stylist can help you. Like that's it. It's not vain, it's not selfish, it's helping you even make money in your business. Because if you show up as you know, projecting the image that you want to project, you feel more confident, you go into that meeting, you absolutely smash it, you win the business, you've made, you know, a massive return on your investment. So it's not a frivolous thing to spend money on. It's not wasteful. It's actually saving you money. A wasteful thing to do would just be continue with the same fast fashion habits, where you just buy with no kind of regard for, does this suit my lifestyle? Is this actually going to make me happy, or is it just 5 minutes of a dopamine hit?
And I mean, and does it make me feel good? Do I feel more confident? And if I feel more confident, then I've got more confidence in my business, in my brand, in me as a person. It goes so much deeper than just buying something online, doesn't it? I think they should get you and John Lewis as a stylist.
I'll just turn up. I'll just turn up. They'll be like, please leave. I'll be like, no. I'll just go around H&M. It's fine. I'm in there all the time.
You see, they're all closing. The one where we are, that's closed down.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Dorothy Perkins, that went before Christmas, and then honestly, that I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, the Topshop, the high street Topshop obviously is gone. The massive flagship store in London gone. And it's a massive shame.
Yeah.
Because you know, as much as online shopping can be great, if you kind of have an idea of what you want, you know what you're doing, it's not the same as feeling the fabrics as, you
No,
know,
definitely not. And
going around
trying it on.
yeah, and
well.
picking up something and thinking this would work really well with that, or you know, even talking. I love when I go shopping to just make random friends with women and convince them to buy stuff. Where I'm like, these shoes look amazing on you. You should buy them. No, what my husband say? I don't care about your husband.
Hide the receipt.
Yeah. So even that, you know, the whole experience of shopping, because that's what it is.
Yeah, it is an experience, but you're not, like you say, you're not getting that just buying from your phone or your laptop. And I think that's what's fueling the lacking of confidence, because like you say, you're not feeling the fabric, you're not seeing, you can't try it on, and then when it comes, you just feel like almost like you've another failure to add to your list, don't you? And it's like, oh, I'll just shove that away. And then every time you open your wardrobe, you look at it, and then it makes you feel crap, because you're like, well, what was I thinking? Why did I think I could wear that?
It's
and
the
then
guilt.
It's like this.
it's negative. It's the negative energy. Like if you surround yourself with negative energy, it's going to project onto you. And it might sound crazy to some people, but things do have energy. So if you surround yourself with stuff that doesn't fit you don't like, that makes you feel guilty, that you're gonna get that energy. Why would you want that in your house? Your house, you know, you have a finite amount of space. Why would you want that in around your person? That's not the energy that we want. And you're right. And then, you know, you've not only do you feel like a failure, but you then get the perception of all the shops are rubbish. There's nothing in any. This is what I sometimes hear from clients. There's nothing in any of the shops. Everything in the shops is rubbish. Actually, it's because you're not either looking in the right places, or you're not sure of what suits you. You're just buying stuff because you've seen it on someone on Instagram, or you know, you're having a rubbish day. You've seen that a place has a 30% off code. You're going to use it to buy yourself something to make yourself feel better.
Yeah. The one thing that you've like you did as a Zoom with me and some of the ladies, and we had a Zoom meeting about it, with you saying what's going to suit me. You taught us all about color analysis, and my God, I was literally blown away, because I didn't know that there was so much that go into it. And then when you started explaining it, I wouldn't have even guessed that that's how it works, if you get what I mean, because you'd instantly assume like your skin tone would be along the similar lines. Can you, if anybody hasn't heard of color analysis before, can you explain a bit about how it works?
Yeah, so color analysis, I think, has got a bit of a bad rap because it was very popular in the 80s. And what happened was a lot of women went and got their colors done. They had these little things in their purses. They carried them on forever. And they very much took it literally. So it was like, right, well, purple suits me. So that means I'm going to wear everything purple. I'm going to have a purple coat, a purple dress, purple shoes, purple handbag, like everything purple.
Dye my hair purple.
Yeah, and that's not a very modern way of looking at color analysis. I think color analysis is looking at because there's every single color that there is a shade that will suit you, no matter if you think there's not. If you're saying, if you come to me and you're like, I can't wear yellow, for example, you can wear a yellow. There will be a yellow for you. There's a shade for you somewhere in there. And color analysis just helps, particularly clients who have they don't have kind of any idea about what they should be buying, or their wardrobe's full of black because they think, okay, well, if I want to wear color, I have to pair it with black. Yeah. What black does is it essentially just drains the color out of the color. So that's what I see color analysis as. It doesn't mean, in the old days, it was very much like, you are a winter, you cannot wear X, Y, Z, like you cannot wear cream if you are this. And that's not how I see it. I just see it as, these are colors that would look amazing on you. However, if you have the confidence and you love what you're wearing, you're going to look great in it. Exactly. So, you know, just wear what you love. But those are the color analysis is just there to help you as a guide. Yeah. And it does help. It helps in particular people that come to me and say stuff like, I can't wear pink, for example. I can never wear pink. Pink looks awful on me. but it's probably just that haven't found the right pink for them.
Exactly, like you say, it can be a shade of pink, and then they can see which one they prefer. Yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's so interesting. I never would have thought about that. And then as soon as you said the pairing a colour, it's like, oh, I'll go and buy a purple jumper because I love purple, and then I put black trousers with it.
Yeah.
That's what you do though, don't you? Because you daren't like have, I think sometimes it's to do with a confidence thing, because you daren't have like colour everywhere, because if you're not confident, you don't want people to look at you, because people do, don't they? They look at, if someone's wearing a really colourful outfit, then they'll be like, oh wow, she looks brilliant, or it brings so much joy to other people, I think. And you don't want to be the one that, oh god, I'm wearing a pink skirt and a green top, because you don't want people to like look at you. But
why not? Yes, I think so. And yeah, you're right. The other thing to remember is that people are very concerned with themselves. So they're actually, they're probably not giving you half as much thought as you think they're giving you, because you're thinking about yourself and they're thinking about themselves. Exactly. And actually, if anyone's got any kind of negative in any scenario, if anyone's got anything negative to think about you, it says nothing about you. It actually says everything about them.
Yeah.
Totally. You should be able to be who you want to be. Doesn't matter if someone else likes it or not. It's not our problem.
Exactly, like you say, it's from within them, isn't it? That's why people, say negative things to other people. You can think that in real life and in the media and on social media as well, because really, if you were really that happy and confident with yourself, then you wouldn't have that nastiness inside you to be able to project it. So I think most of the time when people do say hurtful things or do hurtful things, it's because they're hurting in some way inside, that it's easier to project it outwardly rather than look inside and kind of deal with the issues that they have. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it's sad, isn't it? Really,
it is sad. It is sad. And it has been something that I've been trying to work with the government on, in terms of on the online space, because people seem to think that the internet is just their personal dumping ground of all of their grievances. They can say what they want on the internet. It doesn't count. It's fine. You can have a weird username with loads of letters and numbers and symbols, and you can just use that to abuse someone or go on there and have an opinion about whatever. It's a problem, because what you say online doesn't just go off into the abyss. A human being has to read it and absorb it. And I think it's about time that publishers and social media giants, but also the public, are held accountable for what they say online. Absolutely. Because we all blame the media, or we all blame social media, and to an extent, yes, they are part of the problem, because publishers make money from people going onto their stories, and they know that a lot of people go onto stories where there are a lot of controversial comments. The Mail Online, for example, gets loads and loads of hits because a lot of people will secretly or openly admit they go onto the Mail Online to read through the nasty comments on there. So it's in publishers and it's in social media's best interest to keep those comments on there. But the public, has a responsibility. You're a human being, you're a citizen of this world. It's not acceptable for you to go around saying what you want to whoever you want on the internet. You've got to take some responsibility. And if you wouldn't say it, I can't say anything without my name on it, because I'm an editor. I'm contributing to media. People know who I am. What I say has a consequence. And it's the same for celebrities, politicians, journalists, all of those people. What they say, they have to stand by their words or apologize for them. However, other people can just go under the radar to say what they want behind this cloak of anonymity, and that's not okay. No, I don't think that's okay.
Not at all. And like with the media and social media, they're only really the enablers, and it's the people that are behind it, that are the perpetrators, that don't actually get as much blame as the mediators, do they? And I think that's quite harsh. Like you say, it's the responsibility of you as a human being not to be horrible to another human being just because you're behind a keyboard, or because you certainly wouldn't say that to somebody in real life. I mean, some of the stuff is vile.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible, and it's horrible. You know, I got a lot of abuse. I'm sure I have to go on TV tomorrow. I am sure that I'm not even going to look at Twitter. I'm sure it'll be a bin fire, but I'm sure there'll be people on Twitter slagging me off, saying all kinds of stuff. You know, that I just think when you wake up in the morning, you have a choice. You can either try and bring positivity into the world, or try and make the world a better place, or you can just, you know, crap all over the world and not use this glorious day, which is a privilege for you to have, to better the world. Those are the choices. So when you do stuff like go online and anonymously troll people, are you making the world a better place? I don't think so.
No. And it must be a sad feeling inside to pour that nastiness out of you and know that you've hurt another human. I don't understand. I just don't get it, to be honest with you. And what's sad is you have got such an amazing opportunity coming up for you tomorrow, but you're instantly thinking, right, well, I have to avoid this. I have to avoid this because I don't. And that's wrong. It should be celebrated, the fact that you're doing something so incredible. You shouldn't have to be worried about it at all.
Yeah, that's the beauty of social media. It's happened when, you know, being an editor, I've had a lot of abuse, and there's a couple of times when people have upset me so much that I just kind of block it, ignore it, delete it, that I have responded to them. So there was one particular one last year when I was going through burnout. I was not in a happy place, and it was the first thing in the morning. It was like 8 a.m. worked like 12 hours a day before, opened my laptop, and I had this really nasty email from this woman, and I thought, I can't just let this go. So I replied to this woman and said, do you realize that I am a human being? You don't know me, you know nothing about me, you know nothing about my life. You have sent me this really nasty email. I don't have a choice but to look at it because you sent it directly to me. And she actually replied saying, I'm sorry, I'm a keyboard warrior. When I'm upset at people, or when I'm angry, I take it out on, you know, I use the internet to take it out, essentially. So I'm glad in a way it made her think about that. But that is what people are doing with the internet. They just think, when I'm angry, I can just go online and just abuse someone. And that's, you know, no, like, get therapy. Please stop.
Go for a walk.
Please stop doing that. Please just stop. It's not okay.
The fact that she went to the effort to actually find your email address, type out an email. She had plenty of stop points during that, you know, thought of doing that to you.
Yeah. Even if you write something out, you don't need to, like, why do you need to send it? You don't need to send that. Go and write it in your journal. You don't need to send it to. It's because people don't think that it's kind of like it's not real. If it's the internet, it's not real. It's not a real human behind the screen. It's just, you know, pretend.
Or a lot of the time people think that they can be horrible to people in the public eye because they almost have a sense of ownership over them, and they excuse it in a sense of, oh, well, they put their whole life online, then why am I not entitled to an opinion? Well, you're not really, because you're not them, you know. It's horrendous.
That is the kind of the mentality of where you brought it on yourself, you know?
Totally. I've heard
if you
so
do that
many
job, what do you
people say
expect?
that.
So have I. What do you expect if you do that job? Someone said it to me once about being an editor, and they were like, well, you know, you're a journalist, what do you expect? It's like, okay, but I genuinely became a journalist to help people, because I grew up in an area where I saw lots of horrible injustice and horrible things, and I know it sounds really corny and cheesy, but I wanted to make some sort of tangible difference. That's why I was doing it. But
you're still doing that today, you know, especially with you're working with the government, you're challenging misconceptions, I think a lot of it as well, I would say with your Instagram mostly, is where I've learned the most valuable information, for sure, because the way that you explain, like going back to the media side of your business, the way that you explain how media and PR works, you explain to people how media is funded, you explain a lot of abuse that you've got from a lot of people who, because you're an editor, because you're a journalist, they expect to be able to contact you whenever they like, because that's your job, and they expect you to be able to just release a story on them because they've asked you to. And it's a real kind of disrespectful way to be, isn't it?
Yeah, I got a lot of stories like that about people. Yeah, I would just say that like your reputation's everything, and there are certain people on Instagram who are, number one, not what they pertain to be, but secondly have very bad reputations with PRs and editors because of their behavior. And yes, I have called it out several times, but someone needs to. So yeah,
exactly. And I think it's really important as well to not always assume, just because somebody works in the media, that journalism is a whole negative thing, because journalism is essentially what is bringing you the news. Journalism is essentially how you're hearing about the latest stories. Journalism is keeping your local businesses alive. You know, it's so much more than, oh God, they're a journalist, so they must just be like sly and sneaky and trying to get stories and making stuff up. It's totally a tip of the iceberg kind of topic, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're in a really nasty time as well. Yesterday, actually, there was a lockdown protest in London, and and a BBC journalist got chased through the streets of London, like they were attacking him.
Oh my God.
Because he was a journalist, a BBC journalist. And it's just 90, I think a common misconception is obviously that all journalists are the same. But local journalism and national journalism are very different things. And I have never, honestly, in all my years as a journalist, I have only ever met two journalists who I thought were unethical. In all the journalists I've ever met, majority of them are very young. They move to communities they don't know. They literally earn like 15 grand a year. They have to live on their own, sustain themselves. They don't have a support network around. And yet they're told that they have to have their own personal brand, because they do, because that's how you get people to read your stories, is by you. And that's how you get people to send them your stories, is by reaching out to people. You have to have a public profile, but yet you don't have the support to deal with it when people are abusing you because you're a journalist. You're a journalist scumbag. If you're a 21-year-old now, you've probably got no idea what the phone hacking scandal was, because it was that long ago. Like, you were literally a baby when it happened. It's not, there's this massive hangover from all of that, and even from the fake news era, that all journalists are scum. And it's really dangerous, because it's like it's one of the one last kind of groups of people that you're socially acceptable, allowed to abuse. And when I've seen people, I've kind of tried to discuss on Twitter, there was a man the other day who was abusing a female journalist from a local newspaper, and he was trying to like goad her on stuff that the media does in general. And I just replied to him saying, do you realize that she has absolutely nothing to do with this? So in media organizations, the people who are making the decisions are not public profiles. They're creaming up, they're getting the profits fine. They're not out there, every single day dealing with the abuse. But the response was, well, she's a journalist, so she's scum, so she deserves it. And that's what you get if you're a journalist. And it was the one thing that did contribute to my burnout, was that I was getting abuse from people, and it got to the point where I'd be in like the coffee shop and I'd be thinking, well, what if the person who sent me that abusive message is standing behind me in the coffee shop? Or like, what if they know what car I drive? What if they know where I live? I've got really super paranoid about all that kind of stuff. And I just didn't want to live like that anymore, because I want to see the world as a nice place. And being in that constantly of other people's negativity and nastiness was just really having a bad effect on me.
And it's living in that constant state of like heightened awareness, I bet is exhausting as well.
Yeah.
Always watching over your shoulder, or like you say, wondering who's there, or gosh, it must have been terrible.
Yeah, it's really stressful. So that's where I had psoriasis. That's how I got an eye infection. Coming full circle.
I know. I never
yeah.
even knew, to be honest with you, that psoriasis was a stress inducing thing.
Yeah,
Gosh.
it's is it I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but yes, mine was stress, and it can flare up with stress. Yeah. And I just kind of constantly had it and just thought, well, you know, I'm stressed, like that's a normal I genuinely thought that stress was like a normal state for your body to
be in
in,
constantly. Yeah.
and it's not.
Oh,
It's not.
you're on such an amazing journey, and it's just so lovely to be able to see like how many people you're helping, and it's so nice, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
But it's been absolutely wonderful to talk to you, and thank you so much for coming on. And if anyone's got any questions, then just get in touch and I'll put your questions across to Samantha. And just to say, follow this lady because she is incredible.
Oh, thank you. So are you. You're amazing.
Thanks.
You are.
Compliments are hard.
No, you're like, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, thank you.
Take it, accept it. You are.
Oh, thank you, Sam. And we shall speak to you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.